Hey friend, Brad from simpleguitar.com here, and today I'm going to tell you not to start out on acoustic guitar. There, I said it. Now this is a little bit controversial because when it comes to starting out on playing guitar, one of the first things that people ask is, well, what kind of guitar should I play? And that depends on what you want to do, really. But my recommendation is going to be start out on electric guitar. One thing that I've heard for years is people saying, I'm going to start out on acoustic guitar and then I'll start on electric guitar. And what we have to do today is we have to flip that on its head because it's totally backwards. You should start out on electric guitar and then pick up the acoustic guitar after. And if you do that, it's going to be easier for you. Now, why do I recommend starting out on electric guitar? Well, there's actually lots of reasons. But after years and years of teaching and working with students, I have found a few major things that make starting out on electric easier than starting out on the acoustic guitar, okay? So let's talk about those things really quick. Thing number one. So when it comes to playing guitar, you have to think about the neck of the guitar, okay? When it comes to the neck of the guitar, there's two different dimensions that you're gonna have to think about. One, the width of the neck this way across the neck, okay? Typically, acoustic guitars have wider necks. That makes it harder to get your fingers around, okay? Electric guitars generally have thinner necks. Now, if we're talking about classical guitars, those have the widest necks. And so I don't recommend starting out on classical guitars unless you want to play classical music. That's when you start out on a classical guitar. Electric guitars also have thinner necks this way. And so again, because your neck is thinner this way and it's thinner this way, when you're playing electric guitar, it's not like you're trying to wrap your hand around the fat end of a baseball bat. Now, the next thing when it comes to playing electric guitar is going to be thinking about the strings on the guitar. Now, there's typically two different types of strings. There are steel strings and there are nylon strings for guitars. Typically, classical guitars have nylon strings. Those, while they're super easy on your fingers, because the necks on classical guitars are so wide and so thick, like I said, I don't recommend starting out on classical guitar unless you plan on playing classical music, okay? If the music that you're playing calls for classical guitar, then start out. Cool, have fun. If you're like most of the students that I've taught over the years and you want to play any kind of rock and roll or blues or pop or anything like that, you might as well start out on electric. And on electric guitar, you're going to have steel strings. Steel strings on an electric are very similar to the steel strings on an acoustic guitar. So this guitar right here, this is a steel string acoustic guitar. So it also has steel strings. But here's the trick. Steel string acoustic guitars, typically, they have thicker strings. So your strings come in different gauges of thickness. And the thicker the string, the harder it is on your fingers, which means you create more friction, you build more calluses. That's good. I mean, if you're playing thicker strings, you can build more calluses faster on your fingertips because you're going to have to build those. But number two, with the electric guitar also having steel strings, electric guitars typically have lighter steel strings, meaning they're easier on your fingers. They're easier to play, okay? Now, unlike most people, a lot of people will have like 12 gauge or 13 gauge strings on their acoustics. I put 10s on mine, which are like super light for an acoustic guitar. And then on my electric guitar, a lot of people will play with like 10s or 11s. I like 9s, and I've been considering trying 8s like B.B. King used to play, and like Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top uses. So on top of having thinner, skinnier necks, electric guitars also have lighter gauge strings, which makes it easier to play. Now, the final thing to consider when deciding what type of guitar to play first is the sound that you're going for. And when it comes to the sound, I mean, what kind of music do you want to play? If you want to play music that is primarily acoustic and you have zero interest in playing anything with the electric guitar, then go start out on acoustic guitar. That is totally fine. But if you have any inkling at all to play any kind of rock and roll or blues or anything that is primarily electric guitar type music, then I totally suggest don't wait. Just start out on electric guitar because one, it's going to be easier to play. And two, if you like the sound because you're able to play stuff that you like, then you're going to be more inspired and more motivated to pick up your guitar and play more often, which is always a good thing. So I hope that after that answered some questions for you. And now you have an idea of what type of guitar is going to be easiest for you to start out on. Now, if you like this, no matter what guitar you start out on, if you go over to my website at simpleguitar.com, then what I have for you there is I have a free guide for you called the Top 10 Things to Learn on Guitar First. And it's actually kind of a little bit counterintuitive. It's a little bit different from what you might hear in most places about what to learn on the guitar first. And I'm going to give it to you for free. And it doesn't matter if you're starting out on electric guitar or acoustic guitar or classical guitar, it really doesn't matter. This guide will help you by giving you things that will get you the most bang for your buck when you're just starting out so that you can start to play and feel really confident about your playing really quickly. Now, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that you don't miss any new videos when they come out. You'll be notified right away. And go get that free guide at simpleguitar.com/top10. You can go straight there, download the guide. It's totally free. And then I will see you guys in the next video.